Howdy kids, it's me, Bob Harris, Senior Editor of FootballDiehards.com. Welcome to the Week 8 Injury Review, Preview, Update, Overview, the thing we like to do every Saturday to get you up to speed on all the injuries you need to know about before you set your lineups heading into Sunday's games. I do them in chronological order so you know what players you might need to pivot away from and what players you might have available to pivot to. As always, check the main page of the website. This will be updated. Things will change, right? So check the late breaking updates section of the site for the latest news and information. Also use the FSP staff rankings. You'll find all the players listed there with links to all the latest articles, so you'll know all the information you need to know as you're setting your lineup. Check Casey Joyner's injury report /sit start. He'll be ready to dive in there. He'll go a little deeper, look at some of the defense and offensive line issues and some of the other issues. I'm just going to focus on the skilled players you need to know about right now. So first of all, Ravens and Raiders are on bye. Get them out of your lineups. And let's dive into the injuries early afternoon. We'll start there. DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams both listed as questionable for their game against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's at Detroit. Expect them both to play. DeAndre Swift in particular has been very effective, doing a great job despite his questionable designations every week. So the groin has been an issue for him since August. He's played through it without any problem, obviously, looking at his stats will tell you that. Jamal Williams maybe a little more problematic, but I would expect him to play on the other side. And by the way, T.J. Hawkinson off the injury report for the first time since last month. Worked his way back from ankle and knee issues. So looking good, man. Miles Sanders on the other side of the ball, Philadelphia, has been ruled out. He's been placed on injured reserve, so he will not be back for 3 games. Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott move up in the rotation. The Philadelphia Eagles have not promoted Jordan Howard from the practice squad, but he got a lot of first-team work in practice this week. That'll be something to watch for. Check and see if it happened. Either way, Gainwell and Boston Scott are the top of the depth chart right now. The Indianapolis Colts hosting the Tennessee Titans. T.Y. Hilton listed as questionable with a quadriceps injury, the same injury that sidelined him last week. Remember, he turned 2 weeks ago from IR. Had a decent game, injured the quad, missed last week. We'll see about this week. Didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. Got on the field on a limited basis Friday, so that'll be one to watch. On the other side of the ball, there is no Julio Jones. He will not play this week. Ruled out with a hamstring injury. Kerry Blasingame, the fullback essentially, is questionable. Has also been ruled out with a hamstring. Darrington Evans, the backup running back, has been ruled out and placed on season-ending IR. This is his second trip to IR. You only get one to return. The second time you go on it, you're done for the year. He is done for the year. So no Julio Jones. Expect maybe Josh Reynolds, Nick Akini Westbrook, Chester Rogers, all ready to move up into the void a little bit there. For the Miami Dolphins, they're at Buffalo. Dawson Knox out for the Bills, has the hand surgery. Probably going to miss another week or two with that. Heard it in Tennessee. And the bye week was the first of a 3-week expected absence. So Tommy Sweeney moves into the lineup in his place, or expected to be the receiving asset there. On the other side of the ball, Preston Williams didn't make the trip to Buffalo, basically essentially a healthy scratch. So Devontae Parker has missed the last 3 games with hamstring and shoulder injuries. Seems likely to return. He did make the trip, or hasn't been reported that he hasn't. So listed as questionable. That'll be one to watch. Tough matchup individually, for that secondary for Buffalo, very tough with Tre'Davious White and the crew. So this, and defense tough in general, and traveling to Buffalo, tough for the Miami Dolphins. The Bills have won like 6 straight against Miami, wherever they play. Cleveland Browns hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Odell Beckham listed as questionable. Donovan Peoples-Jones ruled out. Beckham dealing with a shoulder issue. He's been playing through it. More important, Baker Mayfield will play despite his left shoulder injury. He's got a broken bone in there, a torn labrum. He's wearing a harness, and yet he's still going to play, not even on the injury report. So that tells you something right there. Nick Chubb also returns from a 2-game absence with a calf injury. He'll move back into the lead role. We'll see if Dearness Johnson keeps the role. I would expect Chubb to be busy as long as he's in the locked and upright position, though. On the other side of the ball, and by the way, Jarvis Landry also off the injury report, so he's good to go as well. On the other side of the ball, Eric Ebron ruled out with a hamstring injury. Suffered that in practice this week. Pat Freiermuth had already started to gain a little traction there on him, so the rookie tight end. So maybe a little more room for Freiermuth to grow. The Los Angeles Rams are at the Houston Texans. A lot going on in Houston. We'll talk about that. But first, for the Rams, Deshaun Jackson has requested a trade. The Rams will grant his request. Trade deadline coming November 2nd. That's Tuesday. And he will not play this week because of that. There's some trade issues on the other side of the ball as well. Houston traded Mark Ingram, the running back, to the New Orleans Saints, the team that drafted him. Still a lot of rumors around there about Deshaun Watson. We'll see if that comes true. Talk about Miami, talk about Carolina, all, kind of he says, she says, back and forth. So we'll know more on the 2nd of November, right? What we know now, Tyrod Taylor will not play this week, designated to return from IR. Not quite ready. They announced Davis Mills would be the starter on Friday. So this offense has not been great with Davis Mills. Haven't scored a lot of points. I think 58 points the first 2 weeks, less than 40 in the 5 games since. It's been rough. So set your sights accordingly. With Ingram gone, David Johnson moves into the lead role, is what the reporting is, with Phillip Lindsay chipping in behind him as well. On the injury front there, Pharaoh Brown, the tight end, listed as questionable. They have many tight ends there, so you shouldn't invest too deeply in this offense. The New York Jets hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. They're a mess. First, the Bengals, no Chris Evans, the running back. He's been ruled out. The rookie running back provides some depth behind Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine. Auden Tate was hurt in practice, a thigh injury on Friday. He's listed as questionable. You're not digging that deep into Cincinnati's offense, right? You're staying at the higher levels, the Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, maybe C.J. Uzomah. All those guys will have a place. For the Jets, you're hardly digging in at all, right? And even less so. With Zach Wilson out, he went on IR. He's going to miss 2 to 4 weeks. So whether he goes on IR or not at the moment is irrelevant. Mike White will get the start. His first NFL start. He was serviceable against the Patriots last week. Did a lot of dump offs to Michael Carter, etc. So, but he won't have Tevin Coleman, ruled out with a hamstring injury for the 2nd straight week. Corey Davis, the team's leading receiver, is doubtful with a hip injury he suffered in practice this week. Seems almost certain not to play. Tyler Kroft, the tight end, has missed the last 2 games with a back injury. He is questionable return, so we'll see if he can. Tevin Wesco, the blocking tight end, has been ruled out as well. So a limited weapon set for Mike White to work with. So you're taking your chances with your Jets this week is what I'm saying. Carolina Panthers at Atlanta. Terrace Marshall Jr., the rookie wide receiver, has been ruled out. 2nd straight game he'll miss with a concussion. Again, don't know if you're needing to dig that deep into the depth chart for the Panthers at this point, given Sam Darnold. By the way, Sam Darnold will start. He was benched last game. They're giving him another shot. A lot of rumors on Saturday about the Panthers having interest in Deshaun Watson. Those reports, initial reports, being refuted. So, again, a lot of he said, she said on that. Late afternoon, it gets tricky, because it always does, right? We have fewer teams and players to pivot to and some important players in the mix. We'll start with them as important as they get. Austin Eckler for the Chargers, listed as questionable, didn't practice Thursday or Friday. Brandon Staley, coach, says they're hopeful, optimistic that he'll play. It's just soreness, they're calling it. Seems like a concern to me. You'll have to watch that. The backs behind him have not distinguished themselves. Larry Roundtree III, the rookie, has struggled. Joshua Kelly, the second-year man, has not been great. Justin Jackson struggles to stay healthy. Jackson seems like he'd have a bigger receiving role if Eckler can't go, so there's that, but don't know if you need to be digging that deep there as well. On the other side of the ball, Kendrick Bourne, Jonnu Smith, Nick Folk, all listed as questionable. Bourne and Smith have shoulder issues. Folk has been kicking through his left, it's his plant leg, kicking through that issue since last month and seems to be doing just fine. So I suspect all 3 of these guys will be available, but you'll need to check, and I don't know if you need to be playing either Smith or Bourne given their recent production in general. One issue at running back there, we all thought last week was Ramondre Stevenson was going to be the guy, right, behind Damian Harris. He was not. He was a healthy scratch, and J.J. Taylor was the guy, also Brandon Bolden chipping in. Ivan Fears, the running backs coach, has basically explained this week that they're going to be competition every week, and they'll pick the guy, and we probably won't know that until the inactive announcement, right? So any given week, we're not going to know probably until game time. Be a situation best avoided, especially if Damian Harris is playing well. Jerry Jeudy for the Denver Broncos. They're hosting the Washington football team. Great matchup. He's expected to return. Has not been activated as the time I record this video, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:30 Eastern Time. That's something to watch. He didn't practice Friday. Practiced all up leading up to that. So looked pretty good, but then he developed some soreness in the ankle. He was medically cleared last week. They didn't bring him back against Cleveland. He's had a lot of time to, this week to practice, and everything seemed to be going well. He looked great in practice. So hopefully not a big deal, just a day of rest for him on Friday. But you'll need to watch that before you get him in your lineups. On the other side of the ball, only 2 players ruled out, De'Ami Brown, the wide receiver, and Curtis Samuel, with the groin injury that's been lingering for him since June. The rest of the players that were on the injury report were removed, and that includes Antonio Gibson. We all know he's been dealing with the stress fracture in his shin, playing through it. He's off the injury report. Terry McLaurin has been dealing with a hamstring. He's off the injury report. Ricky Seals-Jones been dealing with a quad issue this week. Last 2 weeks, he's off the injury report. All of them set to play. You'd like to think maybe Gibson can gain a little ground against this defense that gave up all that yardage to Dearness Johnson last week. We'll have to see. He's struggled to stay on the field, right? That if he takes a good shot, a big hit on that shin, he tends to have to leave for a little while. So we'll see if he can make it through that and work it out. Tampa Bay at New Orleans, big NFC South game. Antonio Brown will not play. He's got an ankle sprain. Bruce Arians explained it's back near his heel. He might miss some time. He's still on crutches. They asked him if he would be back immediately after their bye, like week 10. No, not sure he will be, so this could be an extended period. That's something to watch for him. Rob Gronkowski could return, though. Listed as questionable this week. Injured his ribs in week 3 against the Rams. Hasn't played since. Questionable this week. Has practiced on a limited basis. Seems like he's heading back. That's one you'll have to watch in the 90 minutes leading up to kickoff. On the other side of the ball, Deontay Harris, wide receiver, kick returner, is questionable. He missed last week's game with a hamstring injury. Seems like he could return this week. Taysom Hill ruled out with a concussion. Dwayne Washington, running back, ruled out with his neck injury. That's the second straight game both of them have missed. Again, Mark Ingram is in town. He arrived Friday. Sounds like he could chip in as soon as this week, so don't be surprised to see him working in tandem with Alvin Kamara at times. One of the reasons they traded for him, they wanted to keep Kamara from working them between the tackles runs and use him out in space more. Might see him split out or in the slot as they try to make up for some lack of high-end talent at wide receiver. There's still no sign of Michael Thomas either, people. He's not designated to return yet, or his window to return has not been open. Sounds like he might be a week or so away from that. Seattle Seahawks hosting the Jaguars from Jacksonville. Alex Collins listed as questionable. Same groin issue he played through last week. Rashad Penny standing by as needed. You'll want to watch this one. At some point, they're going to get Penny more run. Last week, he got like 6 carries. Maybe they pick up the pace a little bit, or maybe Collins can't go. It's a great matchup, right? Anyone going against the Jaguars, but might have to watch this one. Then Sunday night, maybe the biggest of all the decisions, Dak Prescott listed as questionable with a calf injury. We kind of thought we gained some clarity on Saturday that maybe they wouldn't take him to Minnesota if they didn't think he could play. They're going to take it all the way up to game time. He's making the trip, according to Ed Werder of ESPN, and they'll decide at game time. Cooper Rush will start if Dak Prescott doesn't. If you need a pivot Monday night, Daniel Jones, if he's available on your waiver wire, grab him. Cooper Rush will get the start, as I said, so also a possibility for you. Michael Gallup has been designated to return, has not yet been activated, so that's something to watch. No, obviously the offense has worked fine without him, so I don't think they'll rush him back. On the other side of the ball, D.D. Westbrook listed as questionable with an ankle injury. Everyone else who was on the injury report, Adam Thielen, Alexander Madison, foot and shoulder respectively, removed from the injury report, so they're good to go. Monday Night Football, Chiefs pretty much good to go. On the other side of the ball, no Saquon Barkley. He's been ruled out. Kenny Galladay's been ruled out. Sterling Shepard listed as questionable, seems likely to play. Has been working on a limited basis, has said he'll play. And Kadarius Toney, also listed as questionable. So there's a chance, just do you have a reasonable pivot? Maybe Darius Slayton, somebody on the Chiefs, maybe one of the outlier receivers there. So there you have it, everybody. Once again, check the main page of the site, the late breaking update section. I'll be updating all the news right up through each round of kickoffs, giving you the inactive list. We'll have the inactive list in their entirety also as they're released by other teams. Check Casey Joyner's injury report /sit start. Great, more in-depth look at some of the defensive line issues and offensive line issues that might help them or hurt various matchups. Brad Cruz's sit start is available as well. Tons of DFS content from John Laub, Jamie Calandro, Justin Lanero, myself, Gary Davenport with the Shadow Nose. Early in the week, if you haven't checked it out, we have some great waiver wire stuff from Joe Colana, Evan Tarciano, Matthew Sharon. So be sure to check it out. Emo Catholic doing a great job with all the numbers and stats, including our DFS lineup optimizer, ownership percentages, all those things you need to win a little money, win your leagues, all that kind of stuff. So check it out. Good luck this week. We'll see you next week.